Welcome to Michigan Health Star. This is Aurora Hensa. I am here with Dr. Lichten. I'm really glad to meet him. I loved his book, textbook of bioidentical hormones. I was really happy to find out he's here in Birmingham, and I love that his card says medical doctor specializing in health and wellness. He has a lot of interesting things he's been working on, a lot of research he's been doing. Today we're going to talk about the heartburn epidemic. They're saying 100 million people, or a third of the population, suffer from heartburn. Of course, we know that Gerd is like a huge problem, acid reflux. People are taking a lot of PPIs, which is very controversial right now.
Proton pump inhibitors basically stop the stomach from being able to make stomach acid, and depending on how much you take, depends on how much stomach acid decreases there are.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your theories here. First of all, I like the fact that Dr. Lichten said that decreased motility or constipation contributes to GERD because the bacteria gets backed up. A lot of stuff that he says just makes sense. It's just really easy sense, and I'm going to hope he's going to explain it to you like he did to me, because I really liked it. So why don't you explain about the environmental toxins and how it affects the motility?
Start simply is everyone's had episodes with heartburn, and the rationalization, because that's what it is, it's the rationalization, is that you have too much stomach acid. Well, the truth is people over 50 don't make enough stomach acid. So when you have the heartburn, everyone blames the acid, and it probably isn't the acid in the first place. But because there's a drug available called a proton pump inhibitor, PPI, we're talking about the Nexium, omeprazole, Protonix, Asifex, and a half a dozen others. If you take this, then it reduces the amount of stomach acid. But you're setting up an imbalance in the stomach. So I think of myself as a physiologist, means I have to understand exactly what normal is. If it's not normal, then it's abnormal. So you already know it's abnormal because you're having heartburn, indigestion. Ask the question, what is normal and what is abnormal? So if you're normal, your body produces stomach acid because you need the acid to keep bacteria under control and to activate the enzymes. You can't digest the food without enzymes. Just like a cigar where you bite off the tip, the enzymes have to be in the presence of acid to be activated. Otherwise, the food just passes down in the stomach. Now, you have acid and you have enzymes. But when you present the acid to the sphincter, it's going to dump from the stomach into the small bowel, it doesn't want a high acid. If you have a high acid level there, you're going to get an ulcer. So the stomach will hold back the acid until it's neutralized. Normal components of digestion: acid, which needs B12, digestive enzymes, and third, ox bile. And your poor gallbladder is just beat up by all the cardboard, the food that we can't digest. So if you don't make enough ox bile, then your body doesn't neutralize the acid, and everything's held in the stomach. And if it finally goes through and it's too much acid, you end up with an ulcer. So we talk about H. pylori and peptic ulcers, and this is a condition where there's a bacteria in the gut that seems to be related to making the ulcer. But the interesting thing is, half of people have the bacteria, don't have an ulcer. And now the antibiotics have caused such a problem that the bacteria doesn't respond in 30% of the cases. So if you have an ulcer, or you have heartburn, or you have GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disorder, if you're bloated after meals,
SIBO,
and the whole scenario ends up even being worse with bacterial overgrowth of a more intense bacteria, you have this situation, you have to ask the question, what has upset the balance? So when you take the PPI, you're decreasing your stomach acid, you're actually long-term making it worse. So the best thing to think about is, if you have some acid, fine. Make sure you're taking an enzyme with some ox bile, fine. And then if you want to neutralize too much acid, sodium bicarb, Alka-Seltzer Gold, which is potassium instead of sodium. So acid, digestive enzyme, ox bile, and then bicarb. Those are the ways you deal with your meals. And I take the bicarb when I've eaten too much sugar, and the sugar plus the acid makes gas, and then one bicarb, and lo and behold, things are working. But you have to keep the bowel moving. So what Aurora and I have been talking about is the fact of what caused the problem in the first place. Normally there's bacteria that's in the colon that's not supposed to get up into the stomach. But my work has been with environmental toxins, and everybody who has these problems has a slower gut motility.